Welcome back to our weekly market wrap-up. Before we dive into the newsletter, wishing you all a joyful Ganesh Chaturthi. May Lord Ganesha bless you with wisdom, prosperity, and new beginnings. Just like Ganesha removes obstacles, may this festive season clear the path for your financial growth and wealth creation. Indian equity markets ended lower for the week, reversing the prior week's gains as sentiment soured following the imposition of US tariffs on Indian exports. Trump levied 25% duties on key goods, stoking fears of escalating trade tensions and potential economic fallout. So stay tuned, and by the end of this video, we'll unpack the key drivers behind these movements and what lies ahead. This week, the Sensex declined 1,497 points, 1.8%, to close at 79,810, while the Nifty fell 443 points, 1.7%, to end at 24,870. The rally during the first half was supported by upbeat PMI data, GST reform optimism, and steady core sector growth. However, Friday's sharp sell-off in financials and IT dragged benchmarks off highs. Broader markets underperformed as investors turned risk-averse amid global uncertainty and cautious FII flows. The BSE Midcap Index plunged 2.7% to 44,642, while the Small Cap Index dropped 2.9% to 51,449. Markets opened the week on a firm note Monday, led by IT stocks, after Fed Chair Jerome Powell signaled a possible rate cut as early as September. However, sentiment turned negative on Tuesday amid concerns. Selling intensified on Thursday after Washington's tariff announcement, dragging the indices lower for a third straight session on Friday. So stay tuned as we break down the key factors behind this turnaround and explore what could drive the markets in the coming week. Let's take a look at this week's key economic updates. India's GDP surged 7.8% in Q1 FY26, beating RBI's 6.5% estimate and economists' 6.7% forecast, reinforcing India's position as one of the fastest-growing major economies. India's industrial production growth accelerated to 3.5% in July from 1.5% in June, according to NSO data released Thursday. Sector-wise, mining contracted 7.2%, while manufacturing and electricity grew 5.4% and 0.6%, respectively. Globally, Fitch Ratings affirmed India's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating at BBB with a stable outlook, citing moderate downside risks from upcoming US tariff hikes. Among this week's top gainers, Ratan Enterprises, plus 4.4%, surged on strong buying interest, supported by robust momentum in the industrial segment and improved market sentiment. Authum Investment, plus 1.3%, advanced on steady accumulation in financial services space amid optimism on diversified investment strategies. Ola Electric, plus 0.7%, gained as EV sector remained in focus, driven by positive outlook on demand and government incentives supporting electrification. On the downside, the top losers, Sundaram Finance, 13.9%, declined amid profit booking after recent highs, with financials seeing selective pressure despite strong fundamentals. Angel One, 12.9%, fell as weakness in broking sector weighed, with lower trading activity impacting near-term sentiment. Reliance Power, 12.3%, dropped on sustained selling in energy names, reflecting cautious outlook on sector performance and debt concerns. In the unlisted space this week, momentum in the unlisted space stayed firm this week, driven by IPO plans and strategic partnerships. OYO is likely to file its IPO papers in November, targeting a valuation of $7.8 billion to strengthen its market position. IPO-bound Physics-Wallah reported a 53% revenue growth in FY25 with narrowing losses, indicating robust operational performance ahead of its listing. Meanwhile, Boat announced a partnership with Hardware to co-develop India-made chips, with Tata Electronics assembling the components. A move aimed at boosting domestic semiconductor capabilities. Unlisted companies where interest levels are high. Oyo Rooms, MSI, NSE, Apollo Green Energy and FarmEasy. Get in touch for more. That wraps up this week's market highlights. Here's what to watch in the week ahead. Indian equities enter the upcoming week with a cautious undertone after a volatile phase driven by heightened trade tensions. The sharp rebound on Friday offered some relief, but global uncertainty around tariffs and economic growth continues to weigh on sentiment. Robust domestic liquidity, reflected in record SIP inflows, remains a key cushion for the market. On the domestic front, focus will be on macro indicators and corporate action. The Amanta Healthcare IPO opens on September 1st, aiming to raise Rs 126 crore, while key economic data such as the final HSBC India Manufacturing PMI, September 1st, and Services PMI, September 3rd, will be closely watched for signs of sustained activity. Globally, attention turns to the euro area's flash inflation data, September 2nd, and Services PMI, September 3rd, while the US releases ISM Manufacturing PMI, September 2nd, initial jobless claims, September 4th, and other labor market signals ahead of the Fed's policy outlook. That's all for today. Stay connected with Ticona Capital for more insights and wealth-building opportunities from the themes of the decade. Explore more on ticonacapital.smallcase.com to know more. Don't forget to like, comment and share. See you next week.